Hello, everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of the PokerGO podcast. What up, darling? How you doing? My name is Donnie Peters. I am joined by Tim Duckworth. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Great. Fantastic.
Is this our latest podcast to date this summer?
Yeah, the wee hours of Tuesday morning.
Yep. My left eye keeps on watering, which means that it is definitely way too effing late. It is 12:40 a.m. here on what is now Tuesday, June 3rd. We began this day way back on Monday, June 2nd.
Yep, that's how it works.
Big show today. The 10K Omaha Hi-Lo Championship is down to 5. Daniel Negreanu. Daniel is still in, as is Viktor Blom. Daniel's going for his 8th WSOP gold bracelet. Of course, he won his 7th last year in the ultra prestigious 50K PPC. Yep. Blom has yet to win one, a legendary player in his own right, but he's still looking for his first WSOP gold bracelet. We got to hit on the mystery millions because we have a winner there. We also got a winner in the $600 Deepstack tournament. We got the 10K mystery bounty final table. It's currently playing out right now. Right before we hopped on the air, there were 5 players left. The biggest bounty was still up for grabs.
Insane. Yeah.
I know you wanted to have it wait till tomorrow, but I kind of want it to happen on the pod so we can hear all the yelling and screaming over there.
That's a good idea.
Okay, so let's see if that happens. We'll hit on the $1,500 no limit deuce to 7 single draw final table. That is, I think they got 5 players left. They have bagged up. They're going to come back tomorrow, and then we'll touch on everything else that is going on around Horseshoe and Paris. As always, I do want to remind you that the PokerGO podcast is sponsored by Play PokerGO. Check it out. PlayPokerGo.com. Free, fun, authentic online poker. You don't got to have any deposits. There's no risk. You can play whenever you want. There are games running around the clock, ring games, sit and goes, tournaments, whatever you fancy. Get on in there. PlayPokerGo.com. You can also download it to your iOS device. You can download it on your Android, so it's available across all platforms. Again, that is playpokergo.com. Find it now and deal yourself in. Free online poker awaits. Okay, 10K Omaha Hi-Lo Championship. 217 entries in this one, an uptick of 20 entries from last year. Tim and I went over that on yesterday's pod. There are now 5 players left. Viktor Blom, a.k.a. Isildur, is in the lead. Daniel Negreanu is virtually tied for second. He is, I think, 50K behind 50K behind and in third place, but for all intents and purposes, tied for second place there. He's going for bracelet number 8. We got Blom going for his first gold bracelet. There is what's first place? Do you know? 400?
A little bit over 400. It's 470, 437.
470.
Yeah.
Holy but Jesus. Who else is at the table? Do you know?
Ophir Moore.
Yep.
And then 2, I guess.
Max Coleman busted 6th. I know busted. That.
I guess you would say relative unknowns. Ryan, I don't really butcher this. Ryan Bambrick.
Bambrick?
Bambrick. Yeah, Ryan Bambrick. And then Hunter McClelland.
Okay.
Ophir Moore is the short stack. Negreanu is sitting in 3rd in chips, but only by about half a bet. So
what are they going to come back to?
They were playing 200K limits.
So 50, 100K on the blinds, 100, 200K on the limits. This tournament always seems to take forever. It is now officially listed as a 4-day event. They're going to obviously need it because...
It is a 4-day event on the schedule.
Yeah. No. I'm saying it is officially listed as a 4-day event. Yes. It used to be a 3-day event, but it would always go to 4 days anyway. They played an extra level today, right? I think they played an extra...
Yes. Oh, well, yes, 11 minutes of an extra level.
I thought the level before that was extra.
No,
but
the structure does say play to 5, so they were following this structure sheet still.
Okay. Well, either way, we got a sweat for D-Negs and number 8. I spoke with him afterwards, a short little 2-minute interview. Didn't want to keep him too long, but here is that interview now. All right, Daniel Negreanu, final 5, 10K Omaha 8 or better. Started the day as a chip leader, kind of dipped down a little bit. How you finished strong. How'd the day go for you overall?
I'd say really, really well. Like you said, I started with chip leader 1.5, and I was just breaking about even. No joke, I went through a stretch where I had aces 7 times. I got my money back once, and I got scooped every other time. And I still was maintaining, because I was doing what Viktor Blom I had some monster hands where I'm like, oh my God, I have everything. And somehow I ended up with nothing, and he just won with these goofy hands sometimes. But I faded it. I got down to 800 at one point. But in Omaha 8, seriously, if you have 2 big bets, you just got to get a quarter of a pot, stay alive until you hit your rush.
You often talk about, at least more recently, PLO is your jam. How do you feel like Omaha 8 is to you?
Omaha 8 tournaments just really work well for me too, because like I've said in the vlog a little bit, it's kind of like understanding how much level of pressure do you... So what you have to do is this. You look at a flop and you say, okay, is this a pedal to the metal flop? Is this where I go gomma? Is this a yellow caution sign where I'm like, okay, well, we have something, but we don't go crazy? Or is it a red? We just get out, right? And I do a really good job of yellow, when a lot of people, I think, they just automatically pedal to the metal in spots where it's like you're just overplaying your hand. So because I had these aces 7 times, and I lost the absolute minimum because I never overplayed any spot with all of them. So that's a real key to especially tournament poker when you're playing 08.
Last year, you won your 7th gold bracelet in the 50K, obviously, but it was kind of a long drought, for winning one. Is there like a sense of freedom, relief, pressure's off? I
really came in, I feel like the motto for 2025 is chillax, relax. Like, I'm not coming in like super stressed with super rules. I brought wine. If I want to drink wine, I'm going to have wine. No crazy regiment. I'm just going to enjoy it. I'm like, I'm 50 now, and it's this summer camp, so I want to make sure that I look forward to it for the last 2 months. I want to just enjoy every day.
All right, that was Daniel Negreanu. It is interesting to hear that, he kind of feels like there is a bit of pressure off of his back after he was able to win his 7th gold bracelet last summer. And, that came after so long when he just could not win another bracelet. It took forever. All of his peers are winning bracelets around him, left, right, and center. He had not got one. Finally got the monkey off his back, and it came in his favorite tournament, the 50K PPC. And then this year, you guys heard him. He said he's got wine. He's playing carefree. He's just doing whatever. And I'm sure that translates quite nicely to his play. This tournament is a PGT qualifying event. There was the 25K Heads Up Championship qualified for the PGT, and then the two tournaments currently running that qualify for the PGT. Well, there's actually 3, but I'll hit on these 2 right now. The 10K Omaha Hi-Lo Championship, and then we already mentioned the 10K Mystery Bounty. Of course, kicking off today was the 25K No Limit Hold'em / PLO. We'll get to that later. That is also a PGT qualifying event. But Mr. PGT, sir, what's at stake here? What's going on? 470K up top. That's 470 points, right?
Yeah.
That's a boatload of points.
It is. And you know what? Daniel, you don't even need to win this to move to top. You can finish 2nd and move to the top of the PGT leaderboard.
Where's he at right now? 5th?
He is currently 8th, 811 points. He's got a little bit over $1 million in cashes, 10 cashes, and looks like 3 podium finishes. And he can leapfrog Eric Blair, who's in first right now with 1157. 2nd place or better, Daniel moves to the top of the PGT leaderboard.
Crazy stuff. Of course, we cannot also overlook the fact that Viktor Blom is here at this final table in the final 5. He is the chip leader. Blom is a legend, obviously stormed onto the scene as Isildur won online. Was shot up the ranks, was playing the crazy nosebleeds, heads up, taking on Ivy, taking on Antonius, just battling everyone that he could get his hands on, whether it was No Limit Hold'em, whether it was PLO, started playing those massive mixed games. The swings were outrageous.
Yep.
Watching him back in the day. He is much more of a calmed down, subdued Viktor Blom. The maturation of Viktor Blom, I believe, is what I was calling it last summer. But he's still as talented as ever, right? He's a bit more experienced. He knows the drill. He doesn't just sit down and just go off, right? I feel like the new go off king is Texas Mike.
100%.
He's the new go off king. But Viktor Blom is just an absolutely incredible talent when it comes to poker, and it's showing through here in this 10K 10K Championship, as he is the chip leader with 5 left. They will be back tomorrow, or I should say today, on Tuesday. The plan is to stream it. That's the plan. We'll see how it goes. Original plan was to stream the 10K Mystery Bounty, right? Makes sense. Massive, big bet, no limit hold'em, huge first place prize. Got the Mystery Bounty element. Cool. But it's D-Negs. It's Viktor Blom. You know, I think we got to make the switch.
And Hunter McClelland and Ryan Bambrick.
And Ophir Moore. That is correct. Although I heard Ophir Moore didn't really care too much to play on stream. And some players don't. You know, that's just, they don't care for that stuff.
You know who I thought I was going to get the most negative responses from? Daniel.
Why?
I just felt like, you're going to put this on stream. We changed. He did complain a little bit about the start time, but I don't know. I felt like he was going to give me a bit more negatives than Ophir Moore was. But hey, man, we're putting you all under the bright lights. We're going to crown a bracelet winner.
It's what the people want to see.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. All day we were fielding questions. You got to stream this. You got to stream this. You got to stream this. The idea was to look at making the switch should it come to it. You know, we had a good idea that even though I know it looked a little bit weird to the outside world that they're playing a final table today. You know, they started with 2 tables. They get down. They're playing a final table. But we all knew. We've all been around this specific tournament. You know, it's a very, very slow structure. They have a lot of chips, a lot of big bets, and it's a split pot game.
Yeah.
So we're going to be here a while. You know, we figured we would end the day with around 4, 5, 6 players, something like that. And we did get down to that area. We got down to 5. And then they'll come back for day 4. And as long as we can finish organizing stuff overnight here, I know it is past midnight, but it's going to be hitting the PokerGo stream. So be sure to tune in for that. Today's stream was the $1,000 buy-in Mystery Millions final table. A big old field of 19,654 runners. They came back with 7 today. It looked like Michael Acevedo was going to run away with this thing at the start. He could not lose a hand, was just winning. But then all of a sudden, Michael Wilklow just like kind of stormed back. He kind of got even with Acevedo, and then in heads-up play, he pulled off this crazy hero call. He called with what I believe was 4th pair with Jack 6 against an overbet on the river. Acevedo had King 7, and I believe the 7 was a key blocker to a straight. But Wilklow was strong to the test, and he made the call. Took a big chip lead from there, and ended up finishing it off later on, and he is a $1 million winner. Pretty crazy final table. Took about 2.5 hours, give or take a little bit. Kind of a bit of a contrast from the 5K no limit that we saw to kick off the beginning of the series. Just in that tournament, you know, much more slower play, a bit of a better structure. You know, this one it's kind of crapshooty at the end, which is fine. You know, you got to get through almost 20,000 players and get to a winner in a respectable time. So it's fine. But there was a lot of excitement right out of the gate. There was fireworks. There was a 3-way all-in, double KO at one point. I mean, there's just crazy stuff at this final table. If you missed it, you can find it on PokerGo.com. This one was exclusively on PokerGo.com. So go check it out if you missed it. It was a bit of fun. We had Michael Wilklow winning the $1 million. Michael Acevedo took home 2nd place, $563,000. Daniel Strelitz, 3rd place for almost $430,000, and he almost won another $1 million.
Insane.
Because he has the Club WPT Gold Golden Pass, and this is one of those tournaments as part of the promotion that he could go on to win it. Now, I do find it a little bit weird. They're piggybacking off of the WSOP.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, can't you guys go do your own thing in a way? They also had representatives here that showed up with a giant golden check. Like that was ever going to fly. I mean, I don't know. It just seems... the reason why I bring this up is because, you know, you and I have talked about how it's kind of like this... At least it started as, I would say, a Cold War between the WPT and the WSOP, right? They were doing that whole battling over December. You know, Cold War and the fact that it was a little bit quiet behind the scenes. Also the fact that it took place in the wintertime, you know. But now it's like front and center. I mean, it's like, you know, it's kind of just, it's very, very interesting to just watch it all play out. So I don't know what they had planned for that gold check. I don't know if they were gonna like storm the stage and like give it to him. Like
that's what they were probably gonna do. Yeah,
I honestly thought that that's what they might do.
Yeah,
because you can definitely tell from their social media accounts that they're really about,
pushing
things
the
that
edge.
can go viral.
Yeah.
Not that anything in the world can ever go viral, like it's guaranteed, right? But you can obviously do the right things to give something the best potential. And that would have been a good potential. Like a video clip of them like running up on stage, like giving this guy $1 million. I mean, that would have been pretty nuts.
Maybe some like gold glitter cannons.
And they just fire him off from the
Yeah.
God knows what would happen. But anyway, I want to, how many people have those gold passes? Yeah, but you're not playing any of those tournaments, so you literally don't
know
matter.
yet.
But how many people have them? Is it like,
well, you have to,
is it more like 20 or is it more like 2,000?
No, it's more like 20 as of right now.
Okay.
But there are definitely ways to win it. You can play a bunch of these 3 points free rolls to earn them. I think if you just final table, or there's different qualifiers to get them. And there's also some other promotions with their ambassadors. But yeah, I would say maybe 20, 30 people might have them now. But as these free rolls kick in and people start playing them, more and more people are going to earn the little golden tickets.
Yeah, I mean, I was just trying to think about, what's like the real risk for them. Because obviously if a ton of people have them, the risk is greater. If not so many people have them, the risk isn't so great. But they did fade this first one. Daniel Strelitz busting in third place. You had Sean Huang out in fourth for $330,000. Elliot Campen, $255K for his fifth place finish. And then Wesley Fay and Linda No. So Wesley took sixth place for 197. Linda took seventh for 154, but they busted on the same hand.
Yeah.
This was a jam in early position. I think it was under the gun from Wesley for quite a bit of chips. I think he had around 14 big blinds, 15 big blinds. He just jammed ace king suited. Thought that would be, a standard raise. It got over to Acevedo in the small blind, who found 2 10s. He made the call, and then Linda snap called all in with ace queen suited. So 3-way all in out of nowhere. The 10s hold for Acevedo. Wesley had more chips than Linda, so he was able to finish one place higher and get some more prize money there. Jeffrey Hong finished in 8th place. Michael Marks got 9th place. Jeffrey Hong and Michael Marks both busted before today's live stream. No, excuse me. But still, final table runs for them. You had the winner in a $600 Deepstack tournament, 6,090 entries. This was up from the year before in a pretty big way, as Tim and I talked about on the last episode. 5271 last year, 6090 this year. And it is Kenneth Kim who took it down for almost $319,000. I did think it was cool that they were playing in the other room at Horseshoe, and when they got down to the final table, they moved them up to the main stage. The
You're
Mystery
welcome.
Million stream was already done. There you go. You can thank
They
Tim.
put him on the outer table. I said, why? We got the big dog up here.
And I did hear some of them, comments at after they busted out, or maybe while they were on break or whatever, just being like, it's cool to play up here.
Not everybody. So I want to say 6 of the players, as they were getting ushered into the main stage, they came up to the end where the jib is, and the tournament director was like, okay, what's your name? Gary, okay, your seat 4, or whatever it was. And all of them had their cameras out.
Oh,
and they were all filming like a walk. Like it was like their UFC walk-in. Up into their seat. Had one guy ask me for pictures. I took some pictures of him. They all sat down. They loved it. They were, I would say, rowdy, compared to what we might normally see up there. I want to say it might have been the biggest rail we've had all summer at some points. I know we're only 4 or 5 days in, so it's going to get bigger, but they had lots of family and friends all cheering him on. It's a $600 buy-in, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that's their time in the spotlight,
Exactly,
their 15 minutes of fame, and being able to play. I cannot speak tonight. I'm so tired. It's not even funny. Being able to play up there on the main WSOP set. Now I know the cameras are on and it's not streaming, but still, that is iconic, and those players are going to remember that moment forever. The 10K Mystery Bounty final table, I believe they bagged with 5. Can you tell me what's going on?
I just saw
over
someone
there?
leave. I don't know if that means they were.
Well, I
done?
saw some people walking out
Yeah.
with bags, so that would tell me that they bagged it up, and we don't hear a lot of commotion going on over there, so I think that they're done.
It is paused. There's 5 left. James Mendoza, he is the chip leader, 10.6 million if these chip counts are accurate. Alejandro Pinado, I think is how you say it, 6.9 million. Joseph Fox, 4.7. Richard Green, 4.6 million. Patrick Kennedy, 4.2. So we just lost world champion Joe Carter, 7th. Miles Mullally in 8th. Jordan Siegel in 9th. Michael Munchak, 11th. Taylor Paul, 12th. Christian Roberts, 14th. So a lot of big names fell short of the third and final day.
That 10K mystery bounty final table will play out on Tuesday. So Tim and I will wrap that one up and talk about the winner once that one is complete.
It is pretty crazy. I know you touched on the top of the show that the biggest bounty, because we discussed it yesterday regarding the Mystery Millions, and reserving maybe the second biggest bounty for the final table. But this one has the biggest.
Yeah, it does.
And like I was over there at one point, I think it was 8-handed and Miles was still in. He had a couple of friends on the rail, Jeremy Becker, Nick Seward, Francis Anderson, David Coleman, and they were discussing the value of each chip relative to what's left in the bounty, just because there's so much up left. You know, there was over 380,000, I think, at that point, still in bounties, which is insane to get through. You know, 93 people are in the money. So they've already given out, 87 bounties, and yet the biggest one remains.
I know, it's wild. You know, in the Mystery Millions, you know, those $2 million bounties were ripped off within the first hour and a half, 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Here, and get all the way through, the 250K is still remaining.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a fun sweat for the final 5 on Tuesday. Another final table with 5 players left is the $1,500 no limit deuce to 7 single draw. Han Lu, Brad Rubin, Jun Wang, Yuki Zhu, aka Rich Zhu, and Brian Yoon are the 5 players remaining. They are all guaranteed a little bit over $29,000. There is more than $138,000 up top. Like that 10K mystery bounty final table, these guys are going to come back on Tuesday. They're going to play on down to a winner.
Very early finish tonight. They got down to 5 at about 9 o'clock.
So why didn't they just play?
Structure sheet says, bag them up at 5.
See, okay, these structure sheets, they need to change this. Now, probably at some point, it said that because of streaming.
Yeah.
You can't just copy and paste it every year. Right? They should just change all of them to say, like, you know, the day 2 or whatever the second to last day is, like the end time is, like, you know, at the discretion of the tournament operators or something, like, and then put that line that says, if this elects to get selected for streaming, you know, the schedule could change or something like that. You know, just leave it open ended, because you get these TDs and stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, stop at 5. Stop at 5. I mean, it could be 5 p.m. They're like, stop at 5.
Yeah. So. You know, obviously the TDs were consulting with us because there was so much going on today, and they, you know, are we streaming this, etc. Obviously, we weren't going to. For some of the players involved, Brad Rubin, Brian Yu, and Yuki Zhu, I think they were, you know, strong candidates to play the 10K Dealer's Choice. Yuki especially said, I really want to play that tomorrow. So can we keep playing? Well, but because of the way the structure sheet's written,
if one person objects,
and one guy was kind of tired and he says, let's come back tomorrow. It is no limit deuce. They were deep, but it is no limit deuce. So we may have only played another couple of hours. And the fact that it was so early, I think, you know, like you said, there maybe needs to be a tweak in the structure sheets next year.
I mean, you got to change that.
Yeah.
You got to change that. All right. So that'll finish out on Tuesday. Tim and I will wrap that one up as well as that.
Some 25K fantasy sweats there. Yoon, Yuki, Brad Rubin, all drafted 25K fantasy. That's just going to have some. I
mean, of course, it's like every tournament has a sweat. So you know, you can't be freaking out. You can't be stressing out too much about what's going on, because you know, like I said, every tournament's probably going to have a sweat in it as it relates to fantasy. So, you know, no big deal.
And don't forget, Jeremy Becker still wants to side bet you.
He does still want to side bet me. He continues to call me out. I'm gonna have to just take him up on it at some point. But whatever, the guy just got to bigger mouth than I could ever imagine. The $1,500 Six Max No Limit Hold'em kicked off today. The $25,000 No Limit Hold'em / PLO High Roller kicked off today, and that one is a brand new event. And then also the $1,500 Mixed Omaha started today. So first up out of that trio, let's hit on the $1,500 Six Max NL. 2,354 entries, down slightly, down about 170 from last year. Last year had 2,526. They are in the money. They got in the money a couple hours ago. There is more than $414,000 up top. Any notables making some names? I walked the field not too long ago.
Yeah.
I saw Johnny Vibes. Okay. Johnny Moreno was in there. I saw Tristan Wade was in there. I saw Joe McKeon was in there. Jesse Silvio was in there. I saw our guy, Uri Reichenstein, was in there. But then I also saw him watch a pot or lose a pot as I walked by. So I don't know if he's still in there. But lots and lots of big names. Jeremy Becker, speaking of, he was still in there. I think David Coleman was also still in there. So yeah.
Chip leader-wise, no. But a few notable: Sandeep Pulasani, Aaron Massey, David Funkhauser, Michael Lech. And yeah, they all have top 40 chip stacks, but a lot of names I don't recognize here. So could see interesting development with how that plays out. Jeremy Becker, 69th in chips, 33 big blinds. There we go. But yeah.
All right. Well, this one's a 3-day tournament. So tomorrow or Tuesday, I got to fix that. I always do that. So on Tuesday, they're going to play down to, they'll try and get to a final table. If not, they'll come
probably
back.
Stop them at 5.
Probably stop at 5. Well, they won't go past 5. How about that?
Yeah,
we know that for sure. All right, so there's that. That'll finish out in a couple of days, but we'll keep our eyes on that one. The 25K No Limit Hold'em / PLO. I'm going to need you to look this one up. Last I checked, they had 178 entries. Registration is open until 2:15 p.m. local time on Tuesday. How many are they up to?
178 entrants.
Are they done for the day? 178?
178,
okay,
70 players remaining. As you said, you got 2 hours and a break for registration tomorrow. Chip leader, Steven, mustacheless.
Yeah, what's up with that, huh?
He you know what? He saw me during USPO. He's like,
my God.
Can't compete with this. I got to cut it off. So he cut it off. Simple as that. But no, he's gone to the more normal, small beard. Very surprised. Second in chips, Jared Blesnick. Fourth in chips, Sean Deeb. Fifth in chips, Bryce Yockey. And one of our favorites in 12th, Sweet Lou Garza.
Where's Jeremy?
18th.
Okay.
91 big blinds.
There you go.
So he's doing pretty good. I'm going to
Let's
quickly go down here.
Jeremy Osmus.
A lot of names we recognize. I'm trying to see if anyone stands out. Kerry Katz got in. Seth Davies, 32 big blinds.
Oh, he busted, so he must have re-entered. So
that's re-entered. Brian Rass rounding out the 70 players with one big blind.
Okay.
So he must have lost a hand on the final, maybe the final hand of the night, and might see him bust and re-enter.
So this tournament is brand new for this year. Welcome addition. I think you and I both really loved seeing it on the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of the big bet players obviously loved seeing this one on the schedule. All the high rollers loved it. I am a little bit surprised at the turnout. I thought it would for sure draw over 200 to start, and then go up from there. Get a bunch of those late registrants to come in. So obviously there are still going to be a bunch of late registrants. I just thought that we would see over 200 on day one, and I thought this one would just challenge the 25K no limit, just because. I just feel like anything that has to do with PLO is just super hot right now.
Yeah. I've been thinking a lot about this event. I was like you, think it was going to be quite large. Now, as we walked around, we didn't see those Omaha Euros that we were kind of expecting. And I started thinking about it a bit more. And what my theory is that, these guys are playing these events and they think that, if I'm a no limit guy, even though I'm going to give up a bit of an edge in the PLO to the PLO players, I think I have enough edge in the Hold'em and so forth. So that's why we see some of these one-game aficionados in it on day one. Now, if your no-limit game is maybe slightly weaker, but your PLO game slightly stronger, maybe you're thinking, you know what, I'm going to save my entry until day 2. So I think we will see quite a few late entrants tomorrow. Obviously, you got players in the Six Max that you mentioned that, like the David Colemans of the world that kind of flirts with both. Probably thinks he has a pretty big advantage in no limit over some of these guys. So he'll probably jump in late if he doesn't make a run in the Six Max. But that's kind of my theory. My theory is that I think we'll see quite a lot of late entrants for this, just so they can play, less hands of games they're not as strong in. So, I mean, if you're out there listening to the pod, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that is my kind of theory with this one.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Obviously we'll keep our eyes on it and see how large this field grows. Certainly going to go up over 200, and then we'll see how big it goes from there. Again, registration is open in that one until 2:15 p.m. on Tuesday, and then Tim and I will continue to track that one as we go. The $1,500 mixed Omaha. Now this one, big increase from last year. Big. Last year at 853 entries. This year, 1,239.
Damn.
I mean, that's nuts.
That is a massive
massive
increase.
Yeah, that's just an absolutely wild jump. But again, like this, it just tracks in terms of Omaha. Omaha is hot. Like Omaha is the thing. And that's just what keeps on growing and producing these massive field sizes. So $1,239 in the $1,500 mixed Omaha, 186 paid, $258,000 up top. What do you got for me?
I got nothing, because this is the one kind of glitch about the app is when they start the day two, sometimes they don't push the chip counts over, so it's just everyone has 0 big blinds. I can't really give you much information.
Great.
From the app. So I'm going to load up the trusty favorite here. My boys and girls over at Poker News.
So
see some chip counts. I've got them.
I guess this is a natural segue to get into. I have some app thoughts.
This is great. I can't wait to read these names out.
Huh?
I can't wait to read these chip counts out. But good news.
No, go read the names out, and then I'll get into my app thoughts.
Okay, chip leader James, Andy McLeod Obbs, 460,000. Ryan LaPonte, second in chips, 335. The legendary Sammy Faha, third in chips, 310,000. We got Caleb Firth.
Bruno.
Yeah, Caleb Firth here.
Bruno.
9th in chips. James Woods, 10th in chips. Jeff Madsen's 11th in chips. Our boy, one of our besties, Ben Ludlow, 16th in chips. He's making some runs this World Series. Hasn't really like.
Well, yeah, but he needs to not bubble.
But he's making.
But he's making the run.
He's having a.
We're
crack.
not allowed to say he's making runs if he's not actually making a run. It's day one.
But he's making. No, they're in the
he's
money.
not.
Aren't they? Let me see. One sec. I thought they had made the money.
I have like these weird rules. Okay, you can't say somebody's deep if they're not actually deep.
Okay, fine. They're like 40 from the money. But
you also you're not making a run.
He's 16th in chips on the bubble. That's making a run.
Even if they get into the money in a 3-day tournament, you have to be like halfway through day 2.
Okay.
To like make a run, in my opinion. Like you can't just like, oh yeah, I'm making a run. I'm the level 3 chip leader.
You know
like,
when you watch Daniel's
how this
vlogs,
works.
And he has like oopsie meters and stuff, and he has a little tracker. We need producer Rich to have Donnie's rule, and then like right there, that was Donnie's rule.
Yeah, that's fine.
Some other names with chips. Mentioned Ben Ludlow, Roland, Israel, Ash,
Do
Billy,
Control F, John Shorman.
No.
What?
Well, wait. Maybe there's 2 pages.
That's also tilting the pageification of this chip comp. I mean, what are we doing here?
You don't like to break it down?
No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, he has 0 chips.
He might, maybe he's in the other one, the 25K. I don't know. I thought he was somewhere with a healthy stack, but whatever. All right. Let me get into my app thoughts, because I was walking through some of these tournaments today, and one of the things dawned on me. The dealers are still yelling floor. Can't we just press a button on the app and it pings all of the iPads for the floor people and it shows up on the table? When I was out in the floor for maybe 10 minutes walking around, I heard 4 or 5 floor calls.
Okay.
Almost all of them, I think only one said the table number. They're obviously supposed to say floor, table, whatever, 83. And then they say floor. The floor yells, where? What table?
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what if there was just a button you could press on the iPad that's on the table and then it just pings the other iPads. Like, why isn't this a thing?
I think people are just used to saying floor, right?
Okay, well, you can say floor, but eventually they're gonna get trained. You know,
Yeah.
I think that the dealers have really picked up the app very well. Like, they're all using it. Like, they're all picking it up. You know, there's a couple of them that I've seen. Like, yeah, maybe they're like still kind of learning and going through it, but they pick it up very quickly. You know, it's not that hard.
The only thing I've seen with the app is that, you know, I'm not sure what the rules are here, but are they supposed to do chip counts on break? We have seen a lot of, you know,
I think it's been about like 75 to 85% of the time they do the chip counts on the break.
Because we've seen, you know, on this main stage, we don't have the iPads up there, but, you know, we've moved tables up and there has been chip counts forgotten. I'm like, oh yeah, we should put them in, tell the floor to, you know, add them. So I don't think that is ingrained in the process yet, the chip count part, but I'm assuming, you know, come, I don't know,
Well,
June 15,
that's
we'll
also one of those things where when they go on break, you know, the floor just needs to announce, "Hey, dealers, you know,
yeah."
count
And
the
I've
chips.
heard that a couple times, but it's not like it's a constant message.
Yeah.
So they definitely need to work on that.
But I think the floor calls could be on there. You know, you ping everyone's iPad gets pinged.
Yeah.
Shows with the table number, and then also it could kind of be like if let's say there's 6 table calls at once, floor calls at once, like the app automatically orders them. So you know, right? Okay. So it's like, okay, I got to go over here first. I got to go over here second, like all that sort of stuff. So I think that is a good thing. The second thing has to do with those chip counts that you just mentioned. Poker News should just assign someone to just take the chip counts that are updated in the app and update their own chip counts.
Not a bad
Because there
idea.
is a massive, speaking of the word massive discrepancy at times with what's on Poker News for the chip counts and what's updated in the app. I was looking at the $1,500 Six Max, and there was multiple players. They were into the money late on day one. Multiple players having, you know, between, let's say, 650K and 700. Now on Poker News, the biggest stack was not even above 500, which told me that they probably went on a break. The dealers in the 600 did the update, so because obviously they have much more chips now, right? But Poker News is still far behind.
Yeah.
Poker News should just be updating on those. So, like, maybe on a break you pull them in. Maybe you have one of your shadow editors who isn't even on site just go through and just update them, like whatever it is. Maybe you just have, you know, the developers just build a feed to just pull the chip counts when they get updated, you know, something like that. Because this is what I'm going to when we were talking about yesterday is how can you use the app to make you better at your job? This is one of those ways.
I think we discussed it, but I don't think Poker News and WSOP Plus decided on a partnership where there would be like an auto integration for both the live updates.
I mean, you
going
don't
into the
need an
story.
auto integration. You can still do it other ways.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, this is it's information that's out there. It's coming through the app. So you should just populate your live updates website with that information. Like, it's just very simple. You know, I don't know why there has to be massive discrepancies between the chip counts on both places. You know, like it would only make sense. And if you are Poker News, it makes you look better.
True. Yeah.
Like, it makes you look up to date. You know, you don't want people out there saying like, oh, you have to go to the app instead. You can't go to Poker News. Like, that's what you don't want. You know, well, if you just, you know, stay on top of it, you know, and do this sort of thing, then I think it can only, you know, make your product better. Because the app doesn't have, I know the app has like that story section, right, where people can put their stuff in, but the app doesn't have like written hand histories, you know, from the writers and whatnot. So you still have a leg up in that regard. And I do think that that Poker News is still more widely known to the public viewing from the outside. You know, the people here obviously have the app, yes, but you know, so that's just, you know, kind of one thought there. Well, two thoughts. You know, one was the floor call. I think you just put it in the app, and then two, I like the fact that, or I would lean on the app a bit more, right? You know, I would almost probably just like assign one person, be like, hey, your job today is just update via this thing, and then as the summer goes, whoever that is just getting better and better and better at it. They're constantly updating, and you could have one person because, you know, every tournament goes on break every 2 hours, right? So now, let's say at 2:30, you got one tournament going on break. At 3 o'clock, you get another tournament going on break. So it's like you kind of always have constant work throughout the day. You just bounce around from the different tournaments and update the chips. So those are my thoughts there. What do you think, sir? You probably don't even care, but it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Don't quite. Anyway, yeah.
Can you please explain to me this hat?
Well, remember, I did say we're going to mix it up. You know, you got mad at me for wearing the same glasses a couple times in a row. Don't have that many. But I said I'll bring something new. I'll wear something new every day. So this is my new thing. It's a new red hat. I think it's not going to last more than a day.
And tell the people why. I know why, but I want you to tell the people why.
I walked in today wearing this, and people thought I was wearing not that I have anything against making America great again, but they thought I was wearing a
you better say that, or we're going to kick your ass out of here.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
An eagle pick me up by the talons and throw me across the border. Yeah, they thought it was a MAGA hat, and you know I don't have anything against Trump or anything, but and then I was like, oh yeah, that's the red. Yeah, I do. I just wanted a red hat, and I wanted the word darling across it.
Yeah, I mean, anytime anyone sees a red hat now, that's
look.
Like the
I
first
think
thing.
Today's probably the only day it's going to get worn, and I'm probably going to retire it. There's someone that actually. Friend of mine that wants it, so I might actually just give it to him.
Okay.
So it's probably the last time you're going to see it.
Okay. Coming up tomorrow, today. I get so mad at myself when I make those stupid errors.
You haven't gone to sleep though, so to me it's still tomorrow. When I go to sleep,
I know.
That's the end of the day.
Yeah, but also I need to. This is something that not even this summer, but past summers, because I know that this is going to be listened to.
Good point.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
So I should say today. So that the people out there are like, oh yes, today, right?
I think they're pretty smart.
I understand they're smart. We have very smart listeners.
Yeah.
I'm totally with it. You know, you and I are the idiots. Like everyone out there is very sharp.
Speak for yourself, buddy.
Look at the hat you're wearing. Okay. Look at the hat you're wearing. Yes, you look like a stone cold moron. Okay. All right. Tuesday we got a $600 PLO Deepstack. That's going to be bananas in here. Absolutely bananas in here. You got a 2K no limit hold'em. That's going to be a pretty fun tournament. That's also going to be bananas. Yes.
You've cashed in that one, right?
Yeah.
Any thoughts on playing it again this?
No, I can't. I got commentary on Wednesday at Venetian.
Got it.
So not going to be doing that. And then you got the 10K Dealer's Choice Championship. So that one will be that one's the big guns. And then I guess you can count the 25K Nolan Holm / PLO High Roller because late reg does roll through for a couple of hours on day 2. So those are all the tournaments that people can get into. And yeah, it's going to be a big day. You know, it's now we're in the part of the series. You know, you have those first few days when it's kind of slow. It's kind of picking up. You know, every single day. But now there's 5, 6, 7 tournaments running. There's tournaments in all different sections of the room, all the rooms. You know, there's multiple final tables happening, like all this sort of stuff. So we're in it. Yep. Okay. I do feel like it has been extremely efficient. You know, I just feel like I feel like this app thing is just really working out. Another thing about the app is what I was thinking today is there was an interview. I don't even know where it was from. I want to say it was from WSOP, but they were talking. They were talking to Jamie Gold. I think he brought up the app. Is the story of the 2025 WSOP the app?
Of course, 100%.
Okay, now, do you want it to be the app if you're the operators? Shouldn't the story be something that happens at the series, like Daniel Negreanu winning, so-and-so winning player of the year, so-and-so winning the, like whatever it is, like, do you want like in 10, 15 years, like when we look back on it, we'll be like, oh yeah, that was the year they brought the app. Not that it's not a part of the story, right? You know, it's just, I don't know if it should take all like the headlines all the time or the talking points. And here we are talking about it nonstop.
I think it matters about how the app is viewed in a few years. Like, how positive is the app? You know, we're talking very positively about it.
It's going to be like Big Blind Ante, where we're like, I can't believe we didn't have this thing.
Yeah. Or is it going to be, ready for it? If you at home remember this, remember the Poker Peak cards. Remember those we had?
Those were ridiculous.
On the corners? They were the next big thing.
How can you put the app and the Poker Peak cards in the same sentence?
Let me finish.
What is wrong with you?
Mute his mic, producer. Let me finish. My point is, I'm saying that we all think the app's great. And at that time, people all thought the Poker Peak cards were great.
No, they didn't.
Yeah, they did.
No. Who thought that they were great?
I loved them.
Yeah, because you're an idiot.
But what I'm saying is, you know, how will the app be viewed in a few years? If it's viewed positively, right?
I
Then
mean,
we'll say,
it's for sure going to be viewed positively.
then we'll say, yes, that's the year of the app. Or like, I think it has to be very polarized. You know, like we talk about Black Friday, we say, yeah, that was the year Black Friday happened. So depending how the app goes, and it seems like it's going to be pretty positive. Yeah, and I think that's not a horrible thing. You know, even if Ivy wins another bracelet and Phil wins another bracelet or something, when we do like the retrospective in 10 years, you know, 2025 will be launch of the WP Plus app, and Phil Hellmuth won bracelet number this, and Phil Ivy won bracelet number this, etc. And I don't think that's bad from an operator, because it shows, you know, that they're growing as a company, the game's evolving, the way players interact with WSOP, and you know, and the tournaments and C updates is all evolving. So I don't think it's a bad thing if that is the number one story at the end of this year or this decade.
Chip Tick, man.
Oh, Chip
That thing was just too
we
early.
need to bring back the Poker Peak cards.
It was ahead of its time. I mean,
I like
you
those,
should find a deck on Amazon.
I got 2
or
decks at
something.
home.
Oh my god, you should
Plus
bring
I
those in for our flips that we do. We'll bring the Poker Peaks in.
No, I can't ruin those. They're a collector's
Well, yeah,
item.
find one on eBay or something. And
They're probably going to be like thousands of dollars.
It's research and development. Just invoice it.
Oh man, if we could have a research development, we would be busted.
This something you said, whatever, kind of triggered another question in my mind. I looked at the clock for the $1,500 Six Max.
$4.06.99.
There you go. I looked at the clock for the $1,500 Six Max, and it said event number 13. So I started thinking, you know, at what point, like what event number are you kind of worried that we're not going to get, like, I mean, you're a Phil Hellmuth fan. Like, is it like event 30 and like Hellmuth hasn't done anything, or you're just like, what the heck is Hellmuth
What do you
doing?
mean done it? He's cashed.
No, I know, but like,
he's on the
like,
board.
I'm saying, when I say done something, like something big, like we have Negreanu Sweat, right, on Tuesday. Like he's in the final 5. Like, so, you know, when is it like, okay, the way that I look at it as it relates to 25K fantasy, Jeremy Osmus, right? We spent a boatload of money on him. Now, I think he's going to be fine over the course of an 100 event schedule that lasts 7 weeks, you know, but he only has 2 min cashes so far. So like, at what point do you say like, okay, it's just not his summer. Like it's just not working out this year, right? Like, is it like event 40? Is it event like 70? Is it event 20? Like, you know, kind of.
I think it's when the main event, when we basically hit July, because you got the main event, obviously, and you have only a handful of events following that. Now, obviously, hey, look, Phil Hellmuth could brick every event to the main event and win it, and you know it's a big
He's
year
not
for
going to
him,
win the main event.
But you obviously still are never drawing dead at the World Series of Poker. You got events up until the final day, but I think, you know, once you once the calendar turns over to July, you're having a pretty bad summer. You're going to be considering, okay, I'm going to play the main, and then that might be it, because you know it's just not my year. You're not going to come back next year. So I think July is when you start kind of thinking about that stuff.
Did you see this thing about Jesse Lonis? And like he's like 16 to 1 to win the main event or something.
Seems, true odds. I think that's pretty locked in.
True odds, bro.
It's Jesse Lonis, dead on favor.
I mean, first of all, Jesse said something along the lines of like, what did he say? He was never mind, whatever. Poker News did an interview with Jesse Lonis, and then they said, that's what we call a steal. I mean, are they joking? They also said it should be 10 to 1 if you ask us. If anyone on Poker News wants to book it, happily. You and I, we're going into business. We are bookmakers now.
I'm taking Jesse's side.
Okay, we can book it for whatever you want. Infinite money. What? Like,
I got a couple bucks in my wallet.
I mean,
look, he's just riding the heater. He's just riding the aura, the Jesse Lonis aura right now. We obviously know that's not the true odds.
I mean, it's simply outrageous that those odds even
I
get
ordered the
posted.
Poker Peak cards.
Of course you did. Of course you
I'm
did.
going to put them right here on the table with us.
Lovely. Absolutely lovely. All right. Well, we've been rambling for a little bit too long, and we need to get out of here. It is now past 1 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So we're going to wrap this one up. For Tim Duckworth, my name is Donnie Peters, and we will talk to you guys next time.
So you.